Welcome, Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney,
And I'm MK.
and how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm on summer vacation from both of my jobs. I'm done. I'm ready. I
Amazing.
don't have to even think about work until August.
Never been
Um,
more jealous in my entire life.
um, but for today's How Am I Doing? I am going to have show and tell.
Ooh, I love show and tell. I have show and tell also.
The first thing is, as you guys know, I'm going on my honeymoon, and I
Mhm.
have not yet shown this to Courtney. This is my Bible for my honeymoon.
You're an
Uh,
insane person.
I am an insane person. Every single day of the honeymoon is broken down separately on the itinerary, typed out, and then all of the confirmation pages or tickets for any activities are behind that day. Because I'm an insane person, but also because while all the tickets for everything are on my phone, if anything were to happen, like I were to like my not be able to get onto the Wi-Fi or doesn't load, or a company is like, no, we actually want paper tickets for this thing. I like don't want to be like in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
Brussels screwed and not being able to do that.
No, like this is smart.
It's
You
my
just look insane.
I know. And it's so funny because everybody thinks I'm crazy, but then I was like last night I was like talking to my uncle and I was like explaining him to him and I was like reading all the things that were in the itinerary and he goes, "Okay, but like that's actually not as crazy." He was like, "Those are all things
Right.
that I would do." And he's like, "No, like that's okay." And like there's one day it's going to be really tight because it's our museum day in Paris where we're seeing a bunch of stuff in the same day.
Mm.
That's the one day that's like gonna be tight. But like almost every other day, like it really isn't as bad as people think that I made it to be because I had an itinerary and tickets printed out.
Just crying. I can't look at your social media till after the bar.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
I'm gonna be like so sad about life.
Yeah. I mean, and like there are some days, like the second day at Disney, there's nothing behind that day because I don't have
It
any
doesn't matter.
extra tickets because it doesn't matter because I'm already in Disney. Like, but I have like my hotel reservation for Disney with day one at Disney. Just like things like that where like in case my email decides it doesn't want to work because I don't have internet because I'm in the
Mhm.
like an hour outside of Paris in France and
No.
who knows what cell phone towers look like there. I'm
Right.
gonna have everything with me. Like,
I mean, Rachel's cell phone went out in Miami, and
right,
that's in our states.
right.
And she didn't have access to her plane tickets. I had to watch her plane tickets and Uber her back and forth to the airport, Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah,
whenever we left our cruise, not this last year, the year before, because
yeah,
her phone just stopped.
yeah.
So, I
So,
mean, it's not a bad idea. Even like
yeah,
in general, like on a regular day, it's
yeah.
not a bad idea.
So, then my second piece of show and tell is you guys know we talk about books all the time on this podcast, and Courtney was talking about how she won all these Goodreads like giveaways, and I was like, I have never won a single one. Well, that is officially changed. I won my
Ooh,
first Goodreads giveaway,
I'm so
and
jealous.
I have
Oh my gosh, it's so big.
it's beautiful.
Oh, it's
It's
huge.
a
How many
hard
pages is that? Like 430?
there's a whole index. Hold on. This is nonfiction, you know. Oh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
notes for pages.
Right, for sure.
Ooh, hold on. Actual pages, there's 397 pages. So yeah, but
So
then
like with the index, there's like
with the
430.
with the index and the notes,
Okay.
yeah, there. Oh, yeah, there's like yeah, about the acknowledgments end on page 402. At the end of the index, we're at 466. So
That's
yeah.
my superpower. I can look at a book and say how long it is.
Yeah, so 460, hardcover,
Ugh,
beautiful. Murderland, crime and bloodlust in the time of serial killers.
I can't wait to
Um,
hear all about it.
which I'm like so excited. It is I don't even know. I probably don't have time to read it before the honeymoon and I don't want to take a physical book with me, so I probably won't
Yeah.
read it for a couple weeks, but by the time we record this podcast again, I will have read it. So that'll be great. I did finish a couple books. I finished the Ursula book in the
I read your
Disneyland.
I read your rating this time. Your
Yes,
review.
I'm much more confident with the books than I was after the Beast one. And
Excellent. Love to hear it.
I'm like 80% into book four already because they're short and easy to read.
What's
So
the fourth one?
it's about Maleficent. And
Ooh.
it's really good. It's actually really good. Um,
I have to
and it,
say, like, I was never a Sleeping Beauty gal. That wasn't my thing. I
yeah.
only probably watched the movie like twice before I was an adult. But like, Maleficent's story might be like one of the most interesting to me.
Well, and here's the thing that people have to remember about the Sleeping Beauty movie. Aurora is in 16 minutes of that movie and has 16
Yeah.
lines of dialogue. She's not the star of the movie.
Mm-mm.
Maleficent is. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, so
Or the fairies.
yeah, they're bitches in this book, but that's fine.
That's amazing. I want them to be like the witches from Hamlet? Macbeth,
See,
Macbeth.
okay, no, yes, but the witches from Macbeth are the sisters, like that
Right.
these series is actually
Oh,
about. Like, no, no, they're not, but the odd sisters who
I
are
see.
the origin, the characters that
I
I was
don't know
talking.
what this series is about.
No, the characters that I was talking about being like the original, like the unique original characters that are actually the main focus of the
The through
story,
line.
the through line, they are the witches from Macbeth.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, so
I love
you'll
that.
love that. And then I finished reading The Last Train to Istanbul, and I'm really mad. I haven't done my Goodreads review yet because I have to figure out how to word it because I really liked the book. I did until the last 30 pages.
You know, that happens and
It
that
ended in such
happens
an
to the best of us.
unsatisfying way. And they introduced like this really big, really upsetting moment of conflict in the last chapter that never gets addressed.
That's totally fair.
And I was like, but so obviously for when I finished Ursula, I added the next book in that series. When I finished the Crescent City, I just added the next book in that series on my Kindle.
Yeah.
Everything that I was reading were series except for the last Train to Istanbul. So when I finished that one, I added a book that was already saved on my Kindle from 2018 that I never read that I did not know was supposed to be a nonfiction book. I didn't realize it was nonfiction until I started reading it today and was like, oh, this is like a legit book. But it is about one of the theories of one of the people who is theorized to be Jack the Ripper. And it's like the story
Oh,
of
I
like,
knew that. The book yeah, I saw that on your Goodreads and I was like, I've heard of this book. I've never read it though.
yeah, no, I
But yeah.
just started it today. It's called Ripper, by
Hmm.
Patricia Cornwell. And yeah. It's
I didn't realize she wrote nonfiction
That's
books
the thing. I
because
didn't either. It's called Ripper. It has a cool
yeah.
cover, and I know who Patricia Cornwell is. So when I got
Hmm.
it on Prime Reading in 2018, I assumed it was like a historical fiction novel take on who Jack the Ripper was. It's for sure not.
No, yeah, I knew about that book. I don't think I knew it was written by Patricia Cornwell until I saw it on your Goodreads.
Yeah.
Um, because I heard about that book ages. I mean, you said what, 2018? That's probably when I heard about it. So it's been
Yeah.
a minute. But yeah,
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
good? Do you like it?
So far I like it. I'm only on like chapter 2. It's
Hmm.
it's a little hard to read because it is nonfiction, but it's written in train of thought.
Interesting.
So it's like her like telling this story and about things that are happening and like her thoughts about it are interspersed in there and like the it's not like in this book it's like there's a whole thing of notes for each page and like every
Right.
page has like the number 53 and then you go to
Mhm.
note 53 in the back. And there are no notes. It is just straight stream of consciousness.
Interesting. That's kind of how the Lizzie Borden book was, The Trial of
Mm.
Lizzie Borden. I hated that book.
Well, and that's the thing is
Um,
I'm only a couple chapters in, so I'm like I don't know where it's gonna go.
yeah.
But I'm struggling with the stream of consciousness, making it feel like it's a fiction story, but then it's also absolutely not a fiction story. And she randomly talks about like other um like researchers and stuff, but there's no like footnotes or citations or anything,
Yeah.
at least not in the text of the
Interesting.
chapters.
Yeah.
And so I'm a
There were
little
footnotes in Child of Lizzie Borden, but it was written more stream of consciousness than anything
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
there's no footnotes or citations in anything I've read
Mm.
so far, which is confusing and concerning.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, coming from a fiction writer, I imagine it's going to be a little different than a regular nonfiction writer, but
Right.
like, still,
But still, you gotta cite your shit. You can't just tell me this researcher
right,
said this one thing and I don't know where they said it or who they are.
right, right.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll get there. We'll figure it out.
Love it, love it. Well, I told you I have show and tell too.
Yeah.
Yours is different than mine. Mine's also a notebook. Um, I got a new notebook from I'm in the Amazon Vine program. I'm sure I've talked about it on here before. So I get like free stuff to try. Um, and there's this notebook that's beautiful that
Ooh.
has it has like these like book liners, but you can take them out and put them wherever you want. And it also has like a little pocket in the back. And in the
Love
pocket
that.
right now, it has like labels for the book liners and stuff. Oh, and there's
Yeah.
something else. Is that a ruler? Huh, there's a little ruler with smiley faces on it. Oh, this is Embrace and for Beauty. That's cute. So I guess there's other things in here I haven't discovered yet. But as we all know, we're at the end of Hannibal, so I'll talk more about this at the end too. But like, I was like, this is gonna be a great book for my next set of notes as I finish my last notebook. Because I can also like label and come back and whatnot. So it's
Hmm.
gonna be super good. And it's like I think I'm sure it's leather, but it's like sturdy leather,
Mm.
and it's like spiral, which is
Mhm.
wild for like this kind of book.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked about it.
Love it.
Seems heavy duty. But also speaking of, I'll speak of books too because I realized I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I It's the end of the month, so I wrapped up all of my book clubs.
I just realized that I'm not gonna get my bookmarks. I didn't finish fourth one yesterday.
I got all of them. This is the first time in my entire life I got all of the Goodreads ones and all of the Kindle Challenge ones. Like 15 out of 15 on both. Oh my gosh, you should have seen me, I almost cried. Um, but I had to finish The Ministry of Time was what I had left, which we were supposed to have book club yesterday on. So I was like, well, I'll listen to it and I'll finish it before. But we didn't have book club, but I did finish it because I didn't know that until an hour before book club. So,
Yeah.
um, but I finished that. I finished The Honey Witch and I finished Ghost Eaters, which were all of my book club books. The
Hmm.
last three books I had, all subpar. I was so devastated. It was so upsetting. So like the Ghost Eaters was the first one, and it was for the Two Girls One Ghost book club, which is
Hmm.
where I've met our new friend Jessica. It was also her first time in book club. Hi Jessica. Um, and we were chatting about something. Who's to say? Who's to say what was happening in the chat? And she was like, "Has anyone seen Hannibal?" And I was like, "Let me tell you everything I've ever known." So she's great. She's been listening to our show. She's new to the show. Um, our show, not Hannibal. Um, so Ghost Eaters was like, did you ever read the whole Ellen Hopkins series, the Crank series as a child?
No.
Okay.
I've heard of it, but no.
Other people probably have.
Hmm.
So basically it's Ghost Eaters is a whole thing about drug addiction essentially, but it's like you're haunted, you're not high. Because it's a ghost, you can like see dead people and stuff, like it's a whole thing. But it's
Okay.
very clearly in the vein of trying to like tell from the side of a drug addict. Um, but the writer tried to write it in the same similar style that Miranda July wrote All Fours, which is the book that devastated me at the beginning of the year, but I loved.
Mm.
Um, the one that I was like, this book will make you depressed if you're not. Like, you have to be ready to read it.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
he wanted to have that kind of impact, I think, but he also had like way too much going on. Like, even by the end, like the last like chapter, it was like we didn't even need to talk about this. Like now you just added something else that we didn't need. Um, and so like it wasn't terrible. It's not the worst book I've ever read. But it didn't hit right for me.
Hmm.
Which obviously I saved all the books that I was least excited about to the end. So now that they've happened, I was still least excited about them. Um, The Ministry of Time, I thought I did go back and read the blurb, and it is very clear the blurb what it's about. But I assumed because it's supposed to be about a ministry of time, and they're bringing in all of these people from different time periods, um, that I thought we would also travel in time, like at some point in the book, and that's not what happened. It ends up just focused on like the two main characters, and like it's not terrible. And I didn't mind the writing. I kind of liked the writing, but I
Hmm.
didn't love the story. And I was just like, this isn't
See,
where I wanted this to
that's
go.
where I'm at. That I'm in the opposite place with the Zodiac Academy books. I like the characters and I like the story, but I don't love the writing.
I was gonna ask you because I everyone's reading those right now, and I think I'd be interested because I love an academia book. Like,
Hmm.
but I don't
It's okay.
know.
That's okay. Like it's not like so badly written that it's offensive and I couldn't keep reading it.
Okay,
I was just
so I could give it a try.
you could give it a try. I finished the first book. I did not feel that the character development from the beginning of the first book to the end of the first book was enough for an entire book.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
it's also like one of 19 books in the series.
Right. Oh my
So
gosh, there's so many.
like
Yeah,
if the characters only developed a tiny bit in the first book because it was more about world building and then it gets better as the books go on,
mhm,
I will be okay. Because there is a
yeah.
lot of world building that happens. You learn a lot about this world.
I think that's what it is then.
And so I'm hoping the second book I've only read the first two chapters of the second book. So like
Yeah,
there's still room for me to
sure.
like it. But the first book I really felt like it was so much exposition that I didn't grow. I did love all the characters by the end of the book,
Mhm.
but I didn't feel like they did anything.
Totally fair. I that one is on my list. I do want to read it. A lot of people really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Um, and then the last book I read was was The Honey Witch. And here's the thing. It's fine, but it's two different books.
Oh, I
Like
hate that.
the first, and by I mean like split in the middle. Like the first
Oh,
50% feels like one book, and the second 50% feels like another.
it's
There
not
is
even
one
like it's
other.
not even like an A story and a B story put
No,
together in a
no,
weird
no,
way.
no. It's like here's the first half, and then here's the second half, and they are different genres. So like and that's the thing is like I loved the second half. Had it not been a book club book, I would not have gotten the second half. I
Hmm.
wouldn't have made it because the first half is about like almost like cozy witch homestead, which is like nice. It's fine. People like that. I hated the writing. I hated the writing throughout the whole book. Didn't like it. Doesn't matter story or whatever. And it's like sweet, and she's like learning from her grandmother to be this honey witch and blah blah blah. Like it's lovely and cozy. The second half is a cursed romantasy. These are not the same type of book. These are
No.
not the same book. And I loved the second half. And I cannot get behind what has happened. I don't understand. I don't understand where we've come from. And I will say this sounds terrible. I don't care if it makes me sound old. The writer's 24,
Mm.
and this is her first release in the world of romanticism being big for the past 5 years or so. Like, so she's like 19 when she learns what books are basically,
Right.
and wrote this book. And it's
There's
been a hit of the year. Like people like
There's
it.
a book that came out last year that I feel the same way about. Like I haven't read it yet, but I'm a little bit afraid to read it just because
Mm,
of that, because it came out in the
yeah.
wave of romantasy being the thing. But the thing that makes me even more afraid to read it and hate it is that the author, like this is like a legit published like book.
Mm.
The author did theater with me as a small child. I've known her since she was 4. If it's bad, and I have to say that it's bad
Oh,
publicly, and I know her, like I'm so afraid to read it.
what book is it?
Um, the air of the air of blood and fight. What is it called? Hold on. It's one of those things where like they all have the same name. All the
Yeah.
books are
Yeah, I'm so bad with keeping up with romantasy books because they all have the same
they all
title, and
have
I'm
the
like, this
same
is all the
title.
same book.
Um, it is called the air of blood and fire.
Interesting, never heard of it. I'm sure it's lovely. I'm sure she's done a great job, and she is an adult at least.
That's
Um,
true. I mean, she's younger than I am. Like she was in like the little kids when I was doing theater. So she's like probably like 4 years younger than I am, but
but still,
mhm.
um, but yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get behind it, and I like my book club liked it, and then I was like, how old is my book club? And because it's all online, it's one of the favorite book clubs,
Mm.
and I'm scared to ask. I'm scared to ask how old they are. They're definitely adults. Like they have kids, so like they're not 12, but
Okay,
like.
but you realize some people have kids 10 years younger than we are right now.
Well, I know, but like one of them has three kids, and so she's definitely not 19.
Teen moms.
Yeah, but even so, like I was scared they were like 13 when I was reading it. I was like, are these
Oh,
people
no, no, no.
children?
They could be 19 and have
I
three
mean,
children.
I don't think she's 19 with three kids. Like her mom is in the group, and her mom seems like a reasonable mom age.
Mm.
like with her
Listen, I don't know
interactions.
what
So
hoes do these days.
that's so true. I don't know what's going on in the world. Every day I can tell you that I have no idea what's going on in the world. So since we're in this dreadful state of being old and fussing about children who are 24, can you bring me a little like light into my life or I don't know, something?
Yeah, no, this one's actually okay. As okay as a Grey's Anatomy quote can
Can
be.
you tell me while I go and like ooh, close my window
Yeah,
because I forgot to
yeah,
like get my phone.
absolutely. So superstition lies in the space between what we can control and what we can't. Find a penny, pick it up, and all day long you'll have good luck. No one wants to pass up a chance for good luck. But does saying it 33 times really help? Is anyone really listening? And if no one's listening, why do we bother with doing all those strange things at all? We rely on superstitions because we're smart enough to know that we don't know the answers and that life works in mysterious ways. Don't diss the juju from wherever it comes.
I tell you that that's the longest quote I've ever heard in my whole life, and also like perfectly timed. So my leaving and returning.
Yes, but also like
But it's also lovely. That's
love
actually
it's
not
like that one's
terrible.
actually that's what I was like this one is actually as lovely and uplifting as like a Grey's Anatomy quote is going to be.
Sure.
Um
Yeah. I
so
also changed I'm I hate side by side trying to make TikTok videos. So I've changed it to like speaker view to see if that like is easier to crop for a TikTok video. So theoretically no one saw me leave and come back other than I said it out loud because speaker view should have just had you on my screen.
oh, when you record, does it actually stay in speaker view for your recording?
So I hit speaker view and you are just really big on my screen and I'm really little. But I think the way it records it
Okay. I
is
don't know.
flip-flops. That's I think how it does it. But I can't be certain.
Oh, yeah, who knows?
So today's the day. We have made it. It is time for our final stint of Hannibal. We have been to hell and back with these characters. We have experienced all of the emotions one could have, and we are ending on the final film. Uh, what's the word? Chronologically.
Yes.
It is the 2001 Hannibal film. And to say it's been a wild ride is an understatement. So, um, this film came out on February 9th of 2001, um, ages ago. We were children. It was rated 6.8 out of 10, which I was a little low, but we'll get to it.
I don't know. It's probably a little low.
Sorry, we'll circle back. We'll circle back to
I
that.
yeah, I didn't hate it. I just and you know what? If I'd watched it in 2001, like if I was an
Right.
adult and watched it in 2001, I wouldn't have hated it because the reason I didn't feel connected to it was because I
Of the TV show.
of the TV show and having
Mhm.
already seen a lot of the story.
Yeah.
So I didn't like nothing was new or interesting to me.
Yeah.
But the TV show came out 20 years after the movie, so I
Right.
think that I would have probably in objectively rated it higher than 6.8.
Yeah. That's what I think as well. The number one song is my favorite song of all time. It Wasn't Me by Shaggy.
Oh, fucking
Um,
yes.
love Shaggy. Um, the number one movie, can you guess what it is?
You know, I should know because I've already talked about February of 2001 by doing Stargate notes. And I have no idea.
I'm sorry, that was a little unfair. It was Hannibal.
Oh, right, because we're watching a movie.
Right, right,
Cool,
right.
cool, cool, cool,
Right,
cool.
right, right. So, the number one movie is the movie we're talking about.
Great.
As you can imagine, the number one book is A Day Late and a Dollar Short by Terry McMillan. I don't know anything more than that.
Great.
On this day, Saving Silverman was also released. Um, there was a maritime incident at Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Um, the this is also I've been hearing a lot of MLB news. Probably because I've decided to pick the Royals as my team. but this was Derek Jeter's landmark year. He had the landmark deal of 10 years for $189 million. And that's the most anyone had ever signed. And it's, of course, with the Yankees. I'm sure the Dodgers have paid more since then. But at the time, it
I just thought
was
I wasn't thinking about baseball, and my aunt, the nun, loves the Yankees, loves the Yankees. Um,
really, I
yeah.
love that.
And she texted me good morning this morning, and I just sent her a gif of Happy Canada Day, to which she got very upset because the Blue Jays beat the Yankees last night. And she was not happy, and I was like, I'm sorry, but it's Canada Day. I don't know what to say about that.
That's hilarious. I like at my office I have a Yankee shawl thing that I like leave on
Yeah.
my desk. But I really like think I'm anti-Yankees. Like as a New York fan, I think I'm anti-Yankees. Which
Yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah.
So I won't ever tell her that because she she seems very strict. She got on to us at your wedding
Oh, I'm sure she did.
multiple times. We were too talkative. Um, so also, if this doesn't take, this is the thing that I was like, yeah, that takes me back. Toxicity by System of a Down was released today. Yeah.
No. Nope. And I'm officially too old to be doing this podcast. I will see you
I
guys later.
I know,
Bye.
bless it. I saw that and I was like, no, that's not real life. But alas, it is real life. So before we kind of break down the casting characters and team, what did you think overall? Give us your vibes.
So overall, I liked the movie. I did feel like there was a lot happening. I felt like it could have been two movies.
Mhm.
Um, I because of that, the pacing was kind of weird. There were some things that I thought moved way too fast and some things that I thought moved way too slow. And unfortunately, because of season two of Hannibal, I did not feel invested in the movie. Which is not necessarily the fault of the movie, it's the fault of the order in which I saw them.
So I will tell you this was season three of the TV show, because if you remember, season three was split in half between
Oh, it was the first half of
Dollarhide and Italy.
right, the first half of season three, the good half of season three, which I just assumed was season two because I hated season three so much that I forgot that the good half of season three existed.
Right.
Um, the fuck was season two? They
That
still
was
had
that was Mason. We had Mason, we had Margot. All of that was season two. But it was
it
basically
was
the prequel to this movie.
it was pre-discovering Hannibal as Hannibal. Got
Hmm.
it. Right. Okay. So because of season three of Hannibal, um, there were some things that I appreciated. Like I appreciated some of the things that in the TV show were Alana, but in the movie they were Clarice, because I think that makes more sense.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I just kind of felt indifferent. And even about the stuff that was like very Clarice centered, I really didn't feel anything towards it. Um, the only strong reaction I had to anything was some of the stuff that was like gross and graphic. I got real freaked out by, did not
Yeah,
love.
sure.
But the only strong emotional reaction I had was the amount of shit that did not age well. Like the way that the men were talking that did not age well. That was the
Yeah.
only time that I was like, mm, great.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, I mean, obviously, also in that time, but Thomas Harris wrote a lot of them that way because he wanted to show Clarice's strength about dealing with all of the men and their nonsense, basically.
Which, and
Um,
here's the thing,
yeah.
better than the TV show because I
Yeah.
believed it more. I believed it more than the
Right.
Clarice TV show. And
Absolutely.
it made me uncomfortable and angry, but in a way that I believed.
Well, and this is, and we'll get into a little bit more to it, but like the Clarice TV show was so flip-floppy on their characters in general that like you never believed it because the second you believed it, it changed to something else. Like it
Yeah.
just it wasn't. And at least this was consistent. I mean, it's also a movie, not a series, but like
Yes,
it was
but
consistent in the
also,
characters and in the like plot and whatnot.
it did kind of make me sad because I knew it was much more real and true to Thomas Harris's novels. So to see the fact that Krendler was supposed to be a piece of shit, and
I
it
know.
did kind of make me a little bit sad. Uh,
I know. Yeah.
but
Um,
but yeah, so I don't know. I didn't feel very strongly about any of it, except for the parts that I didn't like.
yeah, no, that's totally fair. I have like mixed feelings because I liked it, but I'm stuck in this weird place of I saw the TV show, obviously.
Yeah.
And so it was done really well. And I will say that there are some things here and there that like the TV show glossed over that this movie like explained. So
Yes.
like Mason Berger with the kids and like the abuse that he did to them or whatever, like that was a little more in your face in the movie than it was in the TV show. And
Which
I get
I
like
straight up forgot that that was a part of his
I
character
know.
because it was
Right.
so underplayed in the TV show.
Yeah. And it was I mean the TV show in general was a little more avant-garde, I guess, than the movie anyways. But like some of those things I'm like, oh, those were things that like we talked about and like we kind of missed or we kind of didn't understand or this or that in the TV show. The movie's just like, no, this is what happened. Like, here we are. So I liked that element.
Yeah,
But
that's
then
fair.
also like coming off of Clarice, where we've come from this show that doesn't feel like it fits in Thomas Harris's world back to a film that does.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these characters, well, may not feel true to what we think of them now, like Bob Crenler and stuff like that. Um, they feel more true in general.
Yes.
And like knowing in like and I've obviously done some like background stuff on them. So like knowing that some of them are supposed to be certain ways or like that Thomas Harris really approved more of one way or the other, or whatever, like has
Yeah.
colored the way I've seen it. And so like overall I think I enjoyed it. Um and I actually have the opposite reaction. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much in 2001 as an adult. Like watching it without knowing everything, I guess, like just watching it as a one-off film. I don't know that I would have
And that's
liked
fair.
it.
That's totally fair. For me, I have a hard time because movies are very long. And I have never really been a movie person. I've always been a TV person. Like I
Yeah.
like TV shows more than I like movies. Um, I have a very hard time finding movies engaging, like as a general stance. Like, and it's nothing against movies. It's me. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't find them very engaging. Like things that take that long, I pause and check how much time is left.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, to that,
that's
I also did that on this film because it's 2 hours and 13 minutes. Like, it's a long movie
it's
for a movie, especially at that time.
yes. And so, but I do that with like Disney movies. I'll be like, how fucking long is this movie? Oh right, okay,
It's
only
90 minutes.
yes, right, exactly. But like that's the way my brain works. Like I can binge watch an entire
Yeah.
series in one day, but because there is significant like beats, like for beginning of an episode, end of an episode, beginning of an episode, like I just my brain does not work in a way that functions with movies. So for me to already be coming at it from that point of view, and then also knowing every beat of the story because I've already seen it,
Right.
didn't work for me. Which is again not the movie's fault, it's my fault. Like I know that.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's totally fair. And I imagine that there are plenty of people that also feel that way about this movie. Because, like I said, it was really long. And watching it in 2001, you have the hype of Hannibal still. Um, but you also have the like the switching of characters, you have the like
Yeah.
different storyline, and you have like the book came out basically at the same time as the movie. Like
Mm.
he was rushed to finish this book so that they could release the movie. And so like you also have the hype of like here's the last Hannibal book coming out. So anyone reading the books are
Mhm.
automatically hyped for the film. And so like you
Right.
have that writing on it that you don't have today. And I think like had I read the series in '01, I probably would have been just as hyped. However, had I just watched the movie, I don't think I would have been. And so
Fair.
like you said, this movie was basically what we saw in season three. And so now that we've seen everything, we can see that like how the first two seasons were the prequel, um, essentially to the Hannibal storyline. And then we don't get Silence of the Lambs, obviously, because even though they did do a lot of crossover with, um, we have Will and Alana and Bedelia have some of the same elements that Clarice has in the books.
Yeah.
Um, you can't really have Silence of the Lambs without Clarice unless you're rewriting the story. And
Right.
so like we get some of those elements with Will, and we get some of those like, I mean, obviously while he's like getting him to help with like different stuff, like, but
Hmm.
it's not Silence of the Lambs. We don't get that, but then we do get the Manhunter Red Dragon story in the second half of season three, and then we get this story in the first half of season three.
Yeah.
And so like we already know what's happened, and we can see it from all of these different angles. And so obviously we have Florence, we have Inspector Patsy dying, we have the infamous dinner scene, we have like all of our all of our top elements. The only difference is we have Clarice, which we obviously didn't have in the show.
Right.
Um, but we have Will. And so like they essentially play the same role in that scene. She
Yes.
follows him to Florence, Will follows him to Florence.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll talk more about that. I have some trivia for you in the end that
Okay.
goes a little more into that. So now I want to get to like some of our characters and our cast. So like our director is Ridley Scott, who is like infamous
Yeah.
as a director. Um, he's known for The Martian, Blade Runner, Thelma and Louise, and Gladiator. Uh, so it's actually interesting that so what happened was so I watched I wrote it down so I didn't forget. Making of Breaking the Silence by Charles D. Lawson? Lawson?
Okay.
If you look up Making of Breaking the Silence, you'll find it. You'll find him. It's on IMDb. It's everywhere.
Okay.
He was making a lot of like documentary styles of making the films. He did it for like Star Wars, and he did it for
Okay.
like all these different things. And so it was a little bit over an hour of content of him interviewing people. And so Ridley Scott was one of the people that he interviewed, obviously. And the way that he found out he was going to do this show was Dino De Laurentiis, who also did Red Dragon. Um, him and his wife Martha De Laurentiis, who they married in 1990. He may have also been involved in Manhunter, but I don't think she was.
Okay.
Um, but he wasn't like the director, obviously, because we had different people for each movie.
Yeah.
Um, but he was like, I want Ridley Scott for the sequel, like specifically, because we have different crew for this one. We had it was Ted Talley and Jonathan Demme for Red Dragon and for Silence Lambs, and then we have Dino De Laurentiis and Martha De Laurentiis and Ridley Scott.
Okay.
So Ridley Scott is filming the last like 4 weeks of Gladiator. They're like trying to wrap it up, and
Yeah.
Dino just like shows up on set and is like, "We want you to do this movie," and he's like, "I am literally in the like a wrap up of this epic film that's about to be
Yeah.
one of the biggest films of all time. Like that obviously has a lot going into it." And he's like, "Here's the script. We need to know in a week if you're in the show or not." Like, and so he took it. Turns out he did read it in like 3 days and immediately was like, I'm in. He's like, I love the
Right.
script. Like, he's like, but the first thing he said was when he decided to take it is that he was like, my first move is I need to call Tom Harris.
Yeah.
Like, I need to talk to him. I need to like, you know,
Valid.
figure things out.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, dope, here's his number. So he calls Tom Harris and Thomas's wife answers the phone. And he like blanks on what he's doing. And he says, can I talk to Ted Talley? Who's the director from the first film?
Yeah.
And then just like hangs up the phone because he realizes he's made a mistake. And then
Okay.
like either like I think it was like 3 or 4 hours later, he said he calls back and tries to change his voice to sound like someone different to ask for Thomas Harris so that he that like his wife doesn't realize that he's made this mistake.
Okay.
And I thought that was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so he was like all in on this movie. He was very excited about it. He also, I do have some fun facts about him.
Okay.
He shot a Maxwell commercial um, with Shakira King. who then became married to Michael Caine because Michael saw her in this commercial and was like, I love her, I need to call her. And now they've been married for 30 years.
Love.
Um, he also was entered into the Sci-Fi Hall of Fame in 2007 because he
Okay.
also did Alien, obviously. Um, for those of you who don't know, he also did like the Alien franchise. Um, he was entered into the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2011. He was selected to direct Point Blank and then chose to direct Thelma and Louise instead, which probably was the better move.
Yeah.
I mean, Point Blank is big. Like, apparently people love it, but I don't feel like people know it as well as I know Thelma and Louise.
Right.
And he, the Inya's song "Aldebar"
Yeah.
is dedicated to Ridley Scott. To Ridley Scott. I keep wanting to call him Ridley, like the talented Mister, which he did also work on. So it's got a lot going on my brain about that.
Yeah.
Um, and all of the feature films he's directed have at least had one Oscar nomination, whether it was the film itself, whether it was someone from the film, like every one of his feature films. Um, so what did you think about his directing?
It's fine. Like I
I
said,
liked it. I mean,
I mean, I like Ridley Scott. Good,
yeah.
like, um, again, I felt like there was just too much happening in this movie, so like
Mhm.
I didn't necessarily always love the way it cut between stories, but that was
Sure.
usually not the directing. It was more of a needing to get to the next piece of the story that I
Yeah.
was like about, but the directing, like I liked it just
Yeah.
like
I mean, he does such like grandiose things and he's like so particular. Um,
which is
that like it's
interesting
hard
because
not to like.
it's hard and but also like he does really big things, but so much of what was good about this movie wasn't big.
Yeah.
It was
Well, and
the
that's one of the things that they said he's known for, basically. Like,
yeah,
he's the one who steps onto the scene and, like, moves the plant over because he doesn't like where it's at.
yeah,
Like, so he does all the, like, little pieces,
right.
which is nice. Uh, he actually, and then, so they had the premiere in New York, and he actually wasn't able to make it to the premiere, which is such a bummer because his mom died that same week.
Oh,
Um, and so it was really sad. Um,
yeah.
and so that's our director.
All right.
So our writers are, of course, Tom Harris is credited. And then David Mamet or Mamet, I don't know how to say his last name, but you've
Mammoth.
probably heard of it.
It's just Mammoth.
Mamet.
It looks like it shouldn't be it should
Okay.
be something else, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's just Mammoth.
Yeah. And Steven Zalian. So
David
David Mamet.
David
Mamet.
Mamet is a phenomenal playwright.
Right. That's why I was like, I know his name. Have we talked about him?
No.
No, we haven't because I know him from theater, not from film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but he does have some things he's done for
Yeah.
film. He's known for House of Games, State of Maine, Glengarry Glen Ross, and Wag the Dog, which Glengarry Glen Ross was also one of his stage shows that
Yes.
he actually won an Oscar for. And so that's probably his best known work, it
Mm-hmm.
seems, based on what I was seeing.
Yeah.
He also won a Tony for Speed the Plow, which I don't know. But most recently, the most recent thing that I heard about was when he did American Buffalo in New
Mm-hmm.
York, I think
Yeah.
4 years ago,
Yeah.
something like that. Um, he also, he's a little bit unique. He insisted on writing on a typewriter still
Mm-hmm.
for the show instead of using a keyboard or, writing even. He just insisted on typing everything. And one thing I didn't know, his daughter is Zosia Mamet, who is one of the girls from Girls. Like she was just in a
Mm.
Paramount show too that I can't remember the name of it. But she's probably the only one that I liked from Girls. So
I didn't
um
watch Girls because everybody annoyed me.
I only watched like the first half of the first season because everyone was so obsessed with it. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And then
Mm.
I hated it. Um,
Um, one of Sexual Perversity in Chicago is probably like, other than Glengarry Glen Ross, that's probably the most famous
mm,
stage show he's done.
see, I don't know that one. I don't know that. But he used to be a waiter at Second City in Chicago, so maybe it
Mm,
is biographical.
okay.
Um, who's to say? So then our other writer is Steven Zalian, who is known for Searching for Bobby Fischer, A Civil Action, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and The Irishman, which I haven't seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I do own the book. I haven't read it. But I loved The Irishman.
Which one? Hold on. Didn't they make multiple movies of that though?
I don't know if they made multiple movies, but there are three books. I don't know how
Um,
many movies they made. I thought it was just the one, but I'm not sure.
oh, there was it that there was like a sequel that came out recently? Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
about
yeah.
recently.
Yeah, no, well, recently 2018, which
Oh,
in
okay.
it is
Gotcha.
in my mind is still recently. Because I never,
Sure.
so here's the thing, I never saw the girl with the dragon tattoo. But when my first year in Thailand, my friend like the girl who was my best friend in the first year in Thailand, Anna, she was like a film journalism major and like
Mm,
lived in San Diego and like would make me go to the movies every week in Thailand. So if it came out in 2018, I probably saw it in the theater. Never again for the rest of my
gotcha.
life did I see movies. But so the girl with the
Sure.
spider's web, or this girl with the spider's something, which is
Hmm.
part of that series, came out that year,
Gotcha.
and she made me go to the movies with her to watch it. And I was like, but I've never seen any of the other movies. She goes, it won't matter, and it didn't. So,
Well, that's good news. That's good
yeah.
news. Um,
But I was like, wait, was there more than one? No, there was just a sequel that I watched without having watched the original.
I don't even know anything about this sequel. I mean, I vaguely know anything about the original, but I do know the original exists.
But
And
they
do you think it's a
they
trilogy for the book
It
series? I
is a
don't.
trilogy.
Okay.
They did actually come out with the movie twice. Like there is two versions of it, but the one that everybody
Mm,
knows is there's only one. Like the first one nobody watched.
gotcha. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that.
I only know because
Um,
I just Googled it.
good timing. Good timing. Um, so Steven wrote for a lot of stuff that he was uncredited on, which is
Oh.
interesting. I guess he just like had a hand and was like, "Don't mind me, like I'm just gonna jump in." But it's like big stuff, like the original Twister, Saving Private Ryan,
Wow.
Black Hawk Down, and then he was known for like his biggest award was turning his Schindler's List screenplay into a film. Like so he wrote the screenplay for Schindler's List, which he was credited for that. But
Oh,
the other three he was not.
I
And
was
those
gonna
are
say,
like big
they're
movies.
not, no, yeah. But when you said that he wrote the screenplay for Schindler's List and you were still talking about him being uncredited, I go, he
Yeah.
didn't get credited for this?
No, 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 no. He got credit for that. But not the other
Okay.
three. Yeah, it was wild. Our editor is Pietro Scalia, who's known for Gladiator, Martian, Black Hawk Down, and JFK. So like he was just brought in because everyone loved working with him and he did good, I
Yeah.
guess. And then, as I mentioned, our producers, Dino De Laurentiis and Martha De Laurentiis, they were married from 1990 till he passed away in 2010. Um, and we had talked briefly about him because of his work on Manhunter. So he did work on Manhunter. I knew that. I was like, I think he did. Um, so this is one thing I want to talk about. I know you didn't watch the wrap up on Clarice, and obviously this making of the silence because you've probably just learned about it as I've been speaking.
Yes.
Um, but it had like it was very similar style, and it was called the same thing. So I think that this is the making of the silence is what they were trying to do with the extra features on Silence of the Lambs.
Mm.
I mean, not sorry, Clarice,
Yeah.
but they were so different. Like you listen to those producers versus Clarice's producers, and it is very clear that these producers are like, we want Thomas Harris's book to come to life. We want what's best for Hannibal. If this doesn't work, we're gonna figure out a different way.
Yeah.
Like we want Ridley Scott because he's the best director. We want Anthony Hopkins back because he's Sir Anthony Hopkins. We want like the writers they picked, they handpicked the writers. They were like, we want these people.
Right.
And like the producers on Clarice are just like, this is all a joke that we're getting paid a lot of money to make is how it felt. And like it is so wild to me watching both kind of like back to back.
Yeah.
um so if anyone is interested in like in that concept, please go watch both and just see how different and how much like I think if you had these directors, even with the bad content of Clarice, it would have been a totally different show because it is very clear they cared and the people of
Right.
Clarice did not. It was all
That's,
like a nostalgia joke for them. And it's
yeah.
so upsetting to like see it.
Right.
And like I didn't love it last week and I watched it, but now watching essentially the same content but with different people is like millions of lights away
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
Um, so, but I mean, I did really enjoy listening to them on this one because they you could really tell how much they cared. They were like in awe of like Thomas Harris and Hannibal and the work and like talking about the editing and talking about the like set creations and stuff. And like it was
Hmm.
just it was really interesting to listen to. And it is on YouTube. I'm sure it's not legal, but I did find it on YouTube. Um, so our new character, our new cast member, is of course we talked about Sarah Anthony Hopkins, so we're not circling back to him, just for the
Yeah.
record. Um, we're going to talk about Julianne Moore, who plays our new Clarice. She is known. Here's the thing she's known for: Far from Heaven,
Okay.
Boogie Nights,
Yep.
Magnolia, and Kids Are All Right. Won an Oscar for Still Alice. That's not what's on the list.
Of course.
That's fine. They called her a late bloomer because she learned to swim at 26 and she learned to drive at 27. And I have a quote from someone about her, and I will tell you who that person is once I pull up the quote. Um, let's see. Oh, Ralph Fiennes. They worked at the end of the affair together, and he said Julianne Moore has the most extraordinary spirit to act opposite, and funny and sense of humor. We giggled a lot. I felt so relaxed with her and her humor, not only her great talent, but her humor. A great friendship. I'm still friends with Julianne, so that's changed me. I've made a friend who I trust and love and would love to work with again. And so that's
Okay.
just like really nice hearing that like she's so beloved, I guess. And she seems that way when you like
See,
watch her on TV, but she's an actor. So like, you
well,
know.
see, yeah, I feel like she is an actor that I don't really like as a person,
Mm.
just from like the kinds of like, and it's probably not just her, but like, like people, actors that get like really politically preachy, but also never seem like they fully know what they're talking about.
Oh, sure. All actors that get political.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of that, and I don't really like her. She comes
Mm.
off really rude when she does that. But
Interesting.
I've also never seen her in something that I didn't think she was doing a good job. So like
Yeah.
as a person, not really a fan. But as a performer, I think she's talented.
Yeah, and that's fair. I haven't really seen much about her as a person. I did just watch Sirens, which is a limited series on Netflix, and it is pretty phenomenal. She's in
Okay.
it. I watched it one day instead of studying, which was a mistake, but I enjoyed it. So here we are.
So here
Um,
we
yeah, so I do recommend that if you want to see
Okay.
her in something else. And so one of the things I want to do is I want to compare now that we've had three Clarices, I want to kind of compare how each of them took on this role and portrayed it because there's a lot of similarities, but there's obviously a lot of differences. Like they
Right.
all took on this like backwoods, growing up in the country persona, which is how it was meant to be. And
Mm-hmm.
they all were FBI, obviously behavioralist, but we're seeing them in different eras. So like we see Jodie Foster like pre-Hannibal, early Hannibal. And so she's new to this. She's brand new
Yeah.
to the FBI. She doesn't really have much going for her, and she's figuring out how to work with this, serial killer, for lack of a better term. He's not like crazy much, so like it's like psychotic guy. And then we get to Julianne Moore, who is smack dab in the middle. Hannibal has escaped. We have now found him again, and she's trying to hunt him down, but she's had experience with him.
Yeah.
She's not done. And then we have Rebecca, who is post Hannibal. She's done with him and she's moved on to her behavioral career with ViCap. Um, And so I do think that that plays a role into how these characters came about.
Which is interesting because if I had to put them in a timeline order, I would put, like, in terms of the way that they carried the character, I would put TV Clarice between Jodie and Julianne. She does not seem like Jodie seems like, or Jodie's young baby, just still in
Mhm.
school, overwhelmed by being asked to do this, and she plays that well. Julianne's Clarice is so hard
Yeah.
that it almost feels like she's been on the job for a very long time, which it does feel like she's been on the job for a long time in the way that they
Yeah.
talk about her character. The timing between Silence of the Lambs and this is a
Right.
little ambiguous of how many
Mhm.
years it's been. Um, but she just seems like she knows what the fuck she's talking about and what she's doing, and she talks to people like she is confident in herself and her job. And Rebecca's Clarice does not.
Oh, absolutely. And I think yours is chronologically correct because we also have Ardelia Map in the very first film and we don't have her in the last one. So it seems she's kind of like progressed. But I think based on how they're setting up her character, like this is character post Hannibal.
Which
Like
is
we're anticipating not gonna see him again.
which is
Whereas the other two,
in
she does have him.
yeah, which is probably they tried to do that because they couldn't ever bring him back,
Mhm.
but it was not the correct choice.
No, absolutely not. And that's the thing, like that I feel like between the films, I think this is one you can see it pretty clearly in, is we have Red Dragon to Silence of the Lambs to Hannibal, and we see the transition of here's our Will, then here's our Clarice, and then here's our Clarice who's gotten past Hannibal, and then you get back to the TV show, and it's like you should have that Clarice. That is the Clarice you should have
Yes,
had is completely post Hannibal and hardened.
Clarice without working through her daddy issues is the
Right,
wrong way to take that. But
right.
again, we've already discussed the fact that they didn't have a plot, they just wanted
Hmm.
to talk about trauma.
Right, right. And so like it just and I feel like they also took all the characters they could from the show that weren't locked up, basically. And we're like, we're putting them in this show and we're gonna make it work. Which was
Yeah.
also probably not the right move. Um, so our next person, do you know who plays Mason Berger?
I do not. I feel like we've talked about this before, but I don't remember. I did know that I recognized his voice.
Mhm.
And to be honest, his voice felt very much like the same as the TV show. Like it was the one voice that I was like, that's correct. Like that's the same character as in the TV show.
I very much think the TV show based their character off of this
A
character. They
hundred
didn't try
percent.
to base it off of
They
like a
didn't
new
they didn't
character.
try to make it different. They
Yeah.
didn't try to do crazy things with it. They literally took this character and did it again.
Right.
And it worked. I would say
It
that's the
worked,
one. It
absolutely,
worked
yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So no one knew who this character was in the beginning other than Sir Anthony Hopkins and like I think Tito and Martha. Like very few people did. And so their first thought when this guy came on camera, because it took him 6 hours to get into makeup,
I believe it.
um, they thought it was Jared Leto, which it obviously is not.
No, it is not.
Um, However, it's Gary Oldman.
I
And
think I knew
so
that. I think I did know that.
we have Gary Oldman is known for Tinker Toy, Dark Knight, Darkest Hour, the 1992 Dracula, and of course Sirius Black.
Yeah.
Um, so I have seen the Dark Knight. I was like, I haven't seen these other ones other than Harry Potter, but I have seen the Dark Knight.
Uh, I Darkest Hour, his portrayal of Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour is one of the most phenomenal pieces of acting I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. It's the one he won an Oscar for it, and it was the one of the most deserved Oscars I've ever seen given out. It is
so
brilliant.
before he won that Oscar, he was known as the best actor to never win an Oscar. That was
Yes.
like his role.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he is. I mean, I didn't go through all of his like filmography just because I didn't have time.
Yeah.
But I obviously I adored his portrayal in Harry Potter. he did really great on this film and Dark Knight. He played I believe he played Alfred.
No, he's
Um,
Commissioner Gordon.
oh, that's right, Gordon. He's Commissioner Gordon. Here's a confession. I get really mixed up with Commissioner Gordon because Ben McKenzie plays him in the show, and that is not the portrayal of Commissioner Gordon.
No.
And so I always forget like regular stuff when he um but yeah, so he plays different characters and he's even said like it's come out that he's used a different voice in almost every portrayal he's ever
Mhm.
done.
Yeah.
Um
He
this one in
he
particular, oh go ahead.
he's literally his ability to transform physically. Like,
Yeah.
and his voice is amazing. And obviously a lot of it is prosthetic work and things like that. But it's not even just that. It is things like so the darkest hour is he plays Winston Churchill. I am telling you, it is like his physic like, and obviously he had prosthetics, he had weight stuff on, but just the physicality of the way he put a cigar in his mouth, the way he looked up with it, like it is the things that that man is capable of doing is that is what acting is. That
Yeah.
he is what acting is.
Yeah. He's really incredible. And it's so wild. So like nobody knew who this was. And another reason people didn't really know who this was is because he was actually uncredited until the end.
Because I was
Because
gonna say I didn't watch the end credits, but I paid attention to the names at the beginning, and his name was for sure not in it.
was not because he threw a fit because he wanted to be top billing with Sir Anthony Hopkins and Julianne Moore, and they told him no. And he was like, great, don't credit me. And he obviously is in the regular credits. And people do know he has done this show, obviously. And he was on the making of the silence. Like he was on the interviews stuff too.
Yeah.
But it was just like such a dramatic hissy fit. And like he absolutely is as worthy as the two of them. But it was just like Mason Verger is a huge character in the books. But he was big in this movie, but not as big as like the Clarice role. And like he wasn't in the first films, so people don't know him like they know Clarice. And so like,
Right. A hundred
you know,
percent.
Jodie Foster won an Oscar for this film. Obviously, Sir Anthony Hopkins is Hannibal. Like
Right.
it's hard to ask for the same billing as the people that portray those roles going in when you don't have a role in the film yet.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, but he's fucking
but
Gary Oldman, so you can do whatever you
right, like
want.
if anyone can do it, it's him. But
Yeah.
I also see both sides.
Oh no, for
Um,
sure.
but so Mason Verger, like we said, in the film and in the TV show, he is the same person. And I mean,
Hmm.
we see this, we have two different Mason Vergers in the TV show, and they all are done exactly the same.
Yeah.
Which is one thing I think that's actually like Ridley Scott's portrayal, because he talked about how he like made this character be semi-sympathetic, um, because he found him hilarious. He was like, he's such a like funny character because of who he
What
is
did
as a
he
person.
say? Oh my God, what was the line? Oh, so we all know Mason and his obsession with Jesus.
Mhm, mhm.
Mason is laying there talking to Clarice, and he says something about like you gotta and is that because I said it or because the Risen one said it? And he goes, and you can't mess with the Riz. And
I know.
I was
I
like,
need you to show that scene to your kids.
I was like,
Um,
stop, stop.
yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing.
And that was like Ridley Scott wanted him to be humorous and he wanted him to be a little more sympathetic than he was, which is also why he removed a scene because in the TV show, when Margot kills him by putting the L down his throat, that's how he dies in the book.
Yeah.
But Ridley Scott didn't care for that because he thought it was too dark, so he fed him pigs instead because that's not dark. Um, but he thought it was too dark and he wanted him to be a little bit sympathetic, and so he made him this character instead.
Which is
Um,
funny because in that moment I was like, yeah, Cordell, you better fucking push him.
I know. I was like, push him, push him. What is your other option? Death. This is your option.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So also fun fact about Gary Oldman, he did a duet with David Bowie, called You've Been Around, which is just the most random thing I've ever heard, I think, in my whole life. Where else? Where have my notes gone? Oh, I accidentally slipped a page when I flipped. So this probably wouldn't have been my next person to pick, other than I'm devastated that he's passed on. So we also have in this show Ray Liotta, who you
I
know,
I forgot that he's passed on.
2022. Um, you know him from Goodfellas. Probably that's where probably everyone knows him from was Goodfellas.
You,
His mob style.
I was like, is
Field
it
of Dreams.
Field of Dreams is where I know him from. 'Cause Field of
See,
Dreams is one of my
I
favorite movies.
don't even know that I've seen Field of Dreams. Surely I did as a child. Surely I've
Field
seen it
of
as a
Dreams is
child.
one of my favorite movies. I quote that movie so often.
But I also always get it confused with Angel in the Outfit, which is a different movie.
Very different.
So I can't be certain. But I think a lot of people know Field of Dreams too, but I think he got his like mob
Mm-hmm.
like vibes from Goodfellas. He was also a narc in Something Wild, which kind of looks like a comedy. I don't know what it is, but it kind of looks like a comedy. Um, he actually never saw Field of Dreams, fun fact, because his mom died the same time, and he used the grief from his mom's death to film Goodfellas, which is how he got that like hardened character. Um,
Mm.
which is kind of sad. He was also adopted as a child, and he knew like he was adopted at 6 months old, but he knew like from a small age. Like he did a whole PowerPoint, like probably not PowerPoint, but a whole
Oh,
presentation about it, like in kindergarten for his class.
okay. Okay.
Um, and he also helped pick out his sister, who was also adopted, which is very cute.
Oh.
He has a nephew who plays. This is only a fact. Has a nephew who is also named Ray Liotta, who plays for the minor league farm team for the Kansas City Royals, um, which is just the most random thing.
Yeah.
Um, he was awarded his Hollywood Star in 2023, which is the year after he died. Um, and Cocaine Bear was dedicated to him, which I think I've probably talked about on this podcast before, because I watched that like last year or the year before. Um, but it was dedicated to him because I think it was
It
either the
was it
last
was
movie he was in or the last one that came out that he was in.
no, there have been four movies that were posthumously released that he was in. That was the
Yeah.
first one that
The
was
first
popular.
one, okay, okay.
Yeah.
But I think it also may have been the last one that he actually worked on because I couldn't remember if it was the last one he worked on or the last one that came out. But that, I mean, that movie was in production for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew there were other movies posthumously. And so obviously we see Ray Liotta plays Paul Critler. And one of the things we talked about, we've already talked about a little bit in this episode, we also talked about in the wrap up, is that they decided after the first episode that they didn't want him to be the dick that he was supposed to be. They made
Yeah.
him this like jovial, friendly guy, which is the opposite of how Thomas Harris wrote it. And so
Correct.
like Ray Liotta he was terrible, but he did a great job
Yes.
of portraying how he should have been. And so it's kind of like a culture shock to see the two of them, like especially back to back, like watching the last episode of Flurries and then watching this, is like those are not the same person. Um, because they decided after episode one they weren't going with Thomas Harris's character. Which is
Mm.
just so wild to me.
Yeah.
But I also thought that this showed how good of a job how good of an actor Ray Liotta is because I know him mostly from mob stuff, and like he obviously does a really good job in those films.
Well, and
But
which is funny because and yeah, and it's like it depends on what you know him from because like I said, Field of Dreams is one of my favorite movies, and his character in Field of Dreams is like a legitimately the nicest person
yeah,
ever. And so
well he did a lot of like 80s stuff too because he was in the or 70s stuff. I don't remember what exactly, but he was in the Rat Pack. So like not the Rat Pack, but he was in the Rat Pack. So he was in
yeah.
like the original like OG team, and they did so much random stuff. So like he's done a lot of
Yeah.
things.
But like
Um,
look at what having Shoeless Joe Jackson then tell somebody the horrible things that this man says in this movie. I was
yeah,
like,
I know, I know. It was wild. Um, But yeah, so those are the characters that I've pulled out to talk about. There are obviously more famous people in this, but we only have so many minutes in a show.
Yeah.
So I didn't talk through everyone. But I do want to share some. I had a couple of reviews that I pulled. Again, this was one of the last things I looked up, so I don't have a ton. But the Metacritic score was 57, uh,
Okay.
which feels a little low.
Yeah.
Um, the Boston Globe gave it a 75, but then said The Silence of the Lambs was a classic. Hannibal is only a good movie of its type. And I was like, that feels like the most backhanded compliment. Like,
I
you call it
mean,
a
but
good movie,
it's
but
also not entirely incorrect. In fact, I think it's
it's not. No, yeah.
but also what we've talked about this too. I don't think Silence of the Lambs was that good.
Right. Like I see where it was in its time, but
Yeah.
like this movie, I liked the way that this movie was done a little bit better.
Yeah.
Um, Even though Silence of the Lambs obviously has way more, and there are a lot of bad reviews about this film. Like there were so many people who hated this movie, and
I
they
think
said it was the weakest. And I was like, first off,
of the five Hannibal movies that we watched, this was the least upsetting to me.
yeah, I mean, I think this one or Red Dragon, I think would be the ones that not Red Dragon, sorry, Manhunter. Those were the two that I think I
Yeah.
liked the best. Um, Manhunter's just so of its time. I mean, this is too, but like in a different way.
Yeah.
But like people are saying this is the worst one, and I'm like, did you watch Hannibal Rising? Like, there's no doubt. Like,
Hannibal Rising might be the worst. No. I was gonna say it's the worst movie we have done anything with on the podcast. That's not true. Exorcist Believer was the worst movie we
oh
watched on
my
the
gosh, it was
podcast.
terrible. Yeah,
But Hannibal Rising might be second.
right. Well, Hannibal Rising had the same vibes. It was like we also want to make another movie in this like classic horror, but we don't know how to do it. Like, that's basically what Hannibal
And
Rising
to be
was.
fair, if we had actually watched all of the Halloween movies instead of the original one, just the
We would
original
get
one,
there.
we would have gotten there too.
Yeah. And there's still time. No, there's still time. Um, yeah, but I also heard that some of the like more recent Halloween movies ended up coming out better too than they
Yeah,
anticipated.
no, the middle ones are rough though.
Yeah, the Rob Zombie era. That's what I've only seen the first one, but that is what I've heard. Um, so now I have some fun facts for you. Let me actually start with the movie facts that I got from uh the thing I watched. Um,
Mm.
um, so apparently no one thought that there would be a sequel at all to this movie. This was not intended. However, Thomas Harris had already said he was writing a book,
Hmm.
and him and Dino De Laurentiis are friends, probably from working together for 15 years.
Yeah.
Um, but they were like close friends, and so he's like rushing him to write it so that he can have the sequel. And he's like, I want to do the sequel. You're writing the book. Just write the book and let me do it. Which is fair. I feel that way too sometimes. I'm like, just do it. If you're doing it already, just do it.
All right.
But no one thought there would be a sequel. Like Jodie Foster obviously didn't come back. Sir Anthony Hopkins almost didn't. He had actually, when they decided to work on this film, he had just announced his retirement. And they were like, oh God, we're gonna have to find a new Hannibal. Like, they
Yeah.
were gonna do it. And I have to say, like,
But
one,
also, but
but
also Anthony Hopkins announced his retirement in 2001 and then did what, 75 movies
oh
after
my gosh,
that?
yeah, no, he's back. I think he was just tired. Um, like,
I mean, I think he might have retired now.
I'm not sure that's true.
Actually, yeah, no
I'm
idea.
not sure that that's true. Um, but he definitely didn't anticipate doing this one. Um, Jodie Foster, like, she fought really hard to be Clarice in Silence of the Lambs. And then when they told her about this role, she was just like, I'm not doing that. And like the only reason she gave is she like wanted to work on something else. She had started directing a lot, and so she was like,
Anthony Hopkins has 3 movies in post-production right now, so no, he
"See,
didn't.
I told you, he never stops. He is just kidding." Um, but
LLJK.
yeah, so Jodie Foster was getting really into directing at the time, and she didn't say this, but it's been speculated, and it makes sense. Like she won the Oscar for this role already. Like she had nowhere to go with this role
Yeah.
because it was already done. And so like it makes sense that she doesn't want to do it again. But I mean, then we got Julianne Moore, who I thought did fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just different characters, but I thought they both were fine,
Yeah.
for what they were. Oh, I forgot. Whenever they went to ask Ridley Scott to be the director, Bon Jovi was there for some reason too. Like they like brought Bon
Then
Jovi.
the number of places in the world that Bon Jovi randomly pops up for I don't know what reason
Mhm.
is more than it should be.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, so much. My aunt loves Bon Jovi, so I feel like I notice things more now that like I learned. I mean, I learned probably 15 years ago about her, but like all the time, I'm like, how? Why is he there? What is
Well,
happening?
remember when Bon Jovi and Donald Trump were in a bidding war to own the Buffalo Bills? Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Because that is a thing that actually happened in the history
That's
of my life.
hilarious. When
Neither
was
of
that?
oh
No, neither of them own it now. I know
neither
that.
neither of them won. When was this?
Oh,
Uh,
that's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. This
it
had to be like, what's the show? The You're Fired. It had to
The
be during that, right?
Apprentice.
Yeah.
It was in 2014.
So not like height of the apprentice, but I guess it was still
Yeah, no, in 2014, the
so
Buffalo Bills
wild.
were for sale, and Bon Jovi and Donald Trump were fighting over it, and then the Pagulas won, thank God. And then Trump said, "Well, I didn't win the Bills. I'll win the
I'm gonna be the
presidency."
presidency. Yeah, that's the why. Oh my gosh, that's where it all went wrong. So it's your fault. If you would have just let him have the bills, we wouldn't be in this
That's
drama
not.
that we're in with the world.
Anyway, do you think Josh Allen would play for Donald Trump's Bills?
The Apprentice, Donald Trump, sure, not political Donald Trump, but he was a
Yeah,
different person then.
yeah.
He
Well,
was a liberal then. Who's to say?
who's just
We can't be better than that.
yeah,
Um,
so that
What a
happened.
wild time. Well, some other wild news I have for you. Some of the people that were up to play Clarice, when Jodie stepped down.
Was Bon Jovi?
Um, yes, that's why he's there. Could you imagine? Um, no, it's Angelina Jolie,
Nope.
Helen Hunt.
Okay.
Helen Hunt's very similar, like she's similar to like a Jodie Foster, so I can
Yeah,
see that
I can
vibe.
see that.
Kate Blanchett, also kind of like a similar vibe, not as close,
I wouldn't
but
like it though.
similar.
I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
like.
like it, but I would be
I can at
surprised.
least visually see it, but I wouldn't.
Right.
It wouldn't be right.
Um, and Gillian Anderson.
No.
No, she's not right for it. But the only reason she didn't get picked is because she was tied up in her contract with the X Files. Which is why I imagine she came back for Hannibal. Um,
Right.
but
Hmm.
Anthony Hopkins actually is the one who suggested Julianne Moore when he
Okay.
found out she was on the list. Like they had this list, and he was like, he even called his agent. He was like, "Do I have any casting power?" Because he had worked with her before and really liked her, and
Okay.
he really thought she would be good for this role. And his agent was like, "No." He was like, "Oh, okay." So he was just
Okay.
like, "I want you to do this, but I guess I don't have any control over whether you do or not." So he was very excited that she actually got cast.
Nice.
So one of some like behind the scenes stuff that was fun. Um, they obviously had animal handlers on scene because they had to figure out how to deal with these boars because these are like massive Russian boars.
They
They're
are
like 700
fucking
pounds.
huge
They're
boys.
like, yeah, they're like 700 pounds. They're huge. And what it is like because pigs are so smart and pigs can be violent, but they have to be trained to be however they need to be. They were like, we had to figure out a happy medium of we have to train these pigs to look vicious,
Without
but they
actually
can't
like
actually
without
kill
actually
certain
training them to
combatants.
like attack people.
Right. Because he was just like in the last scene when he's holding Clarice, he has to stand in the middle of all of them while they're running past him.
Yeah.
And so they're like, they can't attack him. So they used like body casts basically and filled them with like chicken and meat and stuff.
Yeah.
So and then like trained them what to do. But they were like, it was a really hard line because we needed them to not only because if you don't train them to look vicious, they just like stand there and graze. And like that's not terrifying. Like it's not great, but it's not the vibe we need. Um So that was one of the issues that they dealt with behind the scenes. And then Ray Liotta's scene with the brain,
God.
it wasn't him in all those scenes. They had a body cast that they created literally from his body. They wrapped it like they put plaster
Yeah,
all over his body. And
because how else could you just take somebody's head off?
right. And well they also had like a green screen on his head that they used for like CGI purposes. Um but he was like he even said after he was like I watched the movie and I don't know what scenes were me and what scenes weren't me. He was like I couldn't even tell.
Yeah, they
But he
did do a
said
very good job.
yeah, he said it was the worst time of his life because he's claustrophobic and they have to like completely encapsulate your
But
body
yes, to
in
make that
plaster.
cast, oh no, to make a plaster
Um,
cast of your face would be the most distressing thing that could ever happen.
yeah. Um, and we don't always get into the music, but the composer for this movie
It's
was
Hans
Hans
Zimmer.
Zimmerman. Yeah, Hans
No,
Zimmer.
Hans
I love
Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. So Dan goes, Hans Zimmer did this movie as we're watching it today. He goes, Hans Zimmer did this movie. I go, yeah. And he goes, what did he do next? Da Vinci Code? I go, no. And he was like, what? I go, Da Vinci Code didn't come out until 2006. This movie came out in
Yeah, it was way
2001.
later.
And he goes, I go, I was like, the book of Da Vinci Code didn't even come out till 2003. He goes,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, no, I was thinking of that. That's right. He goes, so what was his next movie? And then I forgot what the movie he did in 2003, what Hans Zimmer did in 2003 was. But I was
I
like,
don't know the answer to that either.
I looked it up earlier and then forgot. But Hans Zimmer is one of my favorites.
He was he did Black Hawk Down next. No.
No, Black Hawk Down was the same
Yes.
year
Yes,
as
2001. He did The Last Samurai in 2003 and
oh,
Madagascar in 2005.
The Last Samurai was the
Mhm.
next one. Yeah.
So he was actually interviewed in this film as well, the making of film, which was very fun. And he he said that that Ridley just told him he was like, Hans, do not write me a symphony because Hans Zimmer kept trying to write symphonic sounding pieces. He was like,
Yeah.
so I didn't. We wrote an opera.
Yeah. Which
That's
is
how we got around to it.
100% appropriate for the
It
character of
is.
Hannibal. It's amazing.
And he also talked about like he was like for this type of film, I could write whatever I wanted to. He said because there were so many scenes that were meant to be like romantic in a sense, even like or like, at least romanticized um by Hannibal that you could write love
Hmm.
music, you can write hard music, you can write
Yeah.
like high energy, you can write even like some comedic scenes. Like he's like you could literally write any music you wanted to for the show. And he says everything like he said Ridley kept telling him like every piece of music was like quote unquote that close to disaster. And he's like, that's the only place I want to be.
Yeah.
Like if you're not almost over the line, you haven't gotten where this movie should be for music. And he was just like so fun to listen to. And he talked about how this story really should have been a love story. And he was like, it's a love that Hannibal's like created. Obviously, people aren't in
Hmm.
love with Hannibal, but he's like, it was basically a love story for what it was. And that was probably my favorite part to listen to was him talking about the music and how he like pictured it and how like one of the like more I guess behind the scenes part he did is like you can't capture the sound of standing in front of an orchestra, which is true. Like on camera, like it's something you can only experience live in person. And so he would sit behind the window as if it was a recording studio, so that he could figure out what worked best because it kind of sounds completely different when you're standing in the middle
Oh
of it than
yeah.
when you're behind a screen
No, Hans
which I
Zimmer.
found really interesting. And I like I know, but didn't think about, I guess.
Yeah, Hans
Um,
Zimmer is just he's one of my favorite.
oh my gosh,
No,
he
I
is.
like I don't know if you know the like depth of what he does.
Oh yeah, everything.
Hans Zimmer composed the music for The Ring.
Mhm. Mhm.
Obviously he did this.
Mhm.
Before this, he had already won an Emmy or a Tony, or not a Tony, an Oscar because he composed the music for The Lion King with Tim Rice and
Yeah,
Elton John. Like this man,
he's done everything.
everything.
Yeah,
He wrote the music for the fucking Prince of Egypt with Stephen Sondheim. So like not Sondheim, Stephen Schwartz. So like
yeah. We are coming up to the end. I have a few more fun facts for you before we wrap up. Um, so Anthony Hopkins actually wrote a screenplay for a sequel to this movie,
Oh.
and he said it was most likely titled Hannibal Ending, which would have involved Clarice just killing Hannibal Lecter. However, it was never used, obviously. Um,
I wonder
but
why.
he was sick of doing the films. He thought that they needed to stop, so he was just going to kill Hannibal. Um, but then it was never used, so Hannibal has died theoretically. Um, Frankie Faison, who plays Barney here, he
Yeah.
appeared in the first four Hannibal movies. He played Lieutenant Fisk in Manhunter. He played Barney in the Asylum Orderly in Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon, and then he was Barney in this one. So
Okay.
like also an orderly. So like he was in four of the five films. Um, so we talked about Gary Oldman's voice and how he sounds different, everything, and you like pointed out what it sounded like. He based Mason Verger's voice on Katharine Hepburn.
I'm deceased.
Right?
I I can't. That's amazing.
That was my favorite thing. Oh, that's somewhere everyone thought he was Jared Leto. So I mentioned Jonathan Demme and Ted Talley, who had done Red Dragon. Didn't want to come back for this sequel because I mean obviously Red Dragon was 2002, but they didn't want to do that one because they said this one was too grim and graphic. Um, and so
You
they
mean
just did
you
2000.
mean it's grim to have people eaten by pigs? What?
So it seems. So it
So
seems.
it's weird.
So this is the list of people that were up for Clarice. If you could see the 75,000 names.
That's
Um,
crazy.
I will tell you the one that I was most interested in was Callista Flockhart. If you recall, she played Ally McBeal, was married to Robert Downey Jr. at the time, I think. They may have actually separated by then. I think they were late 90s. Um,
Callista Flockhart would have been a terrible choice.
I think she would have been good. I really like her. I mean, did you ever watch Ally McBeal?
Yes.
I
Well,
loved
here's
her.
the thing. Callista Flockhart, she concerns me because
Okay.
every single time she steps out onto the red carpet, she looks skinnier and skinnier, like
Oh,
to the
yeah.
point of like it's an unhealthy level where
Right.
I'm genuinely afraid that the next time her and Harrison Ford walk out onto the red carpet, she will
Mhm.
be a paper doll. Like she concerns me. I
Well,
get
and
ner
she's got something wrong with her. I mean, Harrison Ford's obviously got something wrong with him too. Like, they are too far into stardom and don't know what the real world is anymore.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's just every time I see
but
her,
in
I get
2001, I think I would have liked her in the movie.
yeah, that's probably fair.
Because Ally McBeal was like 97, I think 98. And
90
so,
97 to 2002, I think it ended.
yeah, so she was regular then, or she looked regular then at least.
Yeah.
Australia gave this movie originally an MA 15 plus rating. However, they did that because they edited out the the shootout at the seafood market and the clear dissecting of the brain. Um, and so that's how they made it 15 plus.
Um,
That is still
I
how you're gonna
I
find it.
I also edited out the dissecting of the brain. I checked my mail during that scene
That's fair. That's fair.
because I couldn't watch it.
You can still find it for the 15 plus, but it is still edited out. But they did also release another rating with Blu-ray and DVD that was reclassified to R18 plus. Um, I would like to give a PSA that eating any amount of human brain, no matter how well cooked, can cause prion disease, which is incurable with a high mortality rate.
Yeah,
Um,
it was funny. I was looking at we were showing Dan's sister the menus for some of the restaurants we're going to when we go to France, and a couple of the restaurants, because it's France, have sweetbread on the menu, and his sister was like, "Do not order the sweetbread." And he goes, "Why? What is it?" And I go, "It's cow brain." He goes, "What?" I go, "I wasn't gonna let you order it ever. Like just breathe. I would not have let you make that mistake. We're good.
right.
We're so good. You will not have sweetbread. We're
Yeah.
okay."
That's how you get mad cow disease. It's wild.
Yeah.
Um, and my last
But like
fact, oh,
he
go ahead.
won't even eat like beef tartare. He's not gonna order sweetbread. Like
Oh, no, he's
we're
not.
so good.
Yeah. My last fact, which maybe is the most interesting, I didn't realize, the movie's ending drastically is different from the book. This book that was rushed to be written because um, when Hannibal cooks Lecter Crinler's brain, him and Clarice both eat it, then they sleep together and run off. And the novel ends 3 years in the future when Barney finds them living together in Buenos Aires under false identities and quickly escaping, which is what we got
With
with
Bedelia.
Belinda, with Bedelia. I can't say the right name, but Bedelia and Hannibal. And that's why that scene exists. That we're like, why does this scene exist? That's why, because it's the ending of the book. Um, but Ridley didn't like that. He didn't think that Clarice would do that, even though Thomas Harris wrote it.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
to be
okay.
fair, in all of the other characterization of
Mhm.
Clarice to that point,
Yeah,
I don't think Clarice would have done that either.
yeah. And I don't think so either. And Dino DeLore just says that, well, I don't know if he said this, but it was said that Thomas Harris wrote that ending because he was so pressured to finish the book that he was like, fine, I'm gonna finish it. Here it is. And
Yeah,
he was
well,
like,
we all
nobody's gonna
know,
want this.
here's the thing. Thomas Harris created a wonderful character. He's a great
Mhm.
writer. We all know how much Thomas Harris gives a shit about his characters
Right,
because he wrote Hannibal Rising. Like,
right. But yeah, so that is our story here. That's this is probably a long episode. I'm very sorry, but I cut out a lot of information.
yeah.
There was just a lot to talk about for this film.
Yeah,
Um,
and the funny thing is we barely talked about the film.
I know. Um, but I did want to focus more on like cast and characters and like some behind the
Yeah.
scenes stuff because I mean, we know the plot. We don't need to talk about the plot.
Yeah.
Um, so do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think I talked a lot about what I how I felt. I do have to say that I'm glad that they changed the ending for the movie to not have Clarice run off with Hannibal because
Hmm.
even just the scene where he kissed her was so uncomfortable. And I'm
Hmm.
sure if they had gone in that direction, they could have Julianne could have acted it in a different way that like showed Clarice, but they never showed a relationship with Clarice developing in any way that makes sense for her to have felt that way. Like it makes sense for him to be infatuated with her. Like
Sure.
the Will
Hmm.
Graham effect, like the infatuation, the obsession with somebody who actually sees him and sees his mind,
Hmm.
like that is so in character for Hannibal. And like even when he said to her, have you ever thought about saying it like do you love me enough to stop? Like that made so much sense for
Yeah.
him to feel that way about her, but for her to reciprocate would have been a really out of left field way to take that, and I'm super glad they changed
Yeah.
that because even when they showed him feeling that way, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. I do think if we had Jodie Foster's character that was a little bit weaker, I could see her mind being warped, especially because of how we go from this like character of Jodie Foster into this Rebecca character, who I like Rebecca. I could see that style of the character potentially at some point falling for a Hannibal just because they get so intertwined in their mind, similar to the Will Graham effect. I do not
Yeah,
see that with Julianne Moore's character.
I don't either. She's way too strong, and but
Mhm.
also there's not enough development, which is could be very different in
Right,
a book. In a book, you have ways to develop
right.
characters that you don't have in the amount of time that you have a movie,
Hmm.
despite the fact that this was an 8 hour long movie. Um, but there was no development.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think it was set up that there could have been after Silence of the Lambs, but then we didn't go that direction at all. And so like there
Yes.
wasn't enough at the end of Silence of the Lambs, but I think it was set up where it could have gone that direction
Right,
if
and like
they
if there
wanted it
was
to.
another book in between the two
Hmm.
stories, great. But it
Right.
just wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of into the idea that they made it that they did the character, but they didn't do it with Clarice, they did it with Bedelia. Like
Yes.
that made me like appreciate that scene more and like that storyline a bit more, knowing that background.
Well, because they also Brian Fuller well, I don't know how much of it was actually Brian because I don't know how, because was Hannibal one where he left the show ever? I know he, no. So it was Brian, but the development of Bedelia's characters and the scenes in which Bedelia interacts with Will and they talk about Hannibal.
Mhm.
Never does Clarice, outside of her interaction with Hannibal, talk about Hannibal other
Right.
than to admit that he had an effect on her.
Yep.
Like that's it.
And to
There,
like talk about the case that they're like trying to
right,
find him.
exactly.
Like it was
For
all
it
professional.
was all professional. It was like a yeah, it I feel icky he got into my head. It had an effect on me. Watching him do what he did was psycho and wild and I am a changed person.
Hmm.
End of conversation. Healthy way to view him.
Yep.
Bedelia was clearly developed as not that,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so it made sense.
Yep.
Clarice's character, it does the disconnect is too
Yep.
large. Like it's too much of
I
a gap.
agree.
Even Will, he wanted to believe he was Clarice, but he was Bedelia. Like if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And but you saw that unraveling, you saw that fight with himself. You
Yeah.
never saw Clarice doubting her stance on Hannibal unless she was face to face with Hannibal, but that's the Hannibal effect, not her character.
Right. Right. 100%. 100%. Um, yeah. I mean, I agree. I'm glad we've gone through the universe. I'm glad we did all of it, even if some of it wasn't great.
Right.
I'm glad we did do it all and saw the well-rounded side of it. I did really enjoy watching the behind the scenes. I hope I was able to portray some of it, enough of it that it was interesting for other people to
Yeah.
hear. Um, so after this, we have our DNA awards at the Hannibal universe. Um, we've slightly changed up, so we're going to talk about the best Clarice, the best Paul Cridler, the best Mason, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you have that to look forward to. Um, we will then be doing American Horror Story Season 3, which is Coven, set here in New Orleans. That is the fan fave of the show so far. So please join us for that. We will, of course, announce this probably on social media. By the time we come back, I'll have taken the bar and hopefully recovered. Um, but that is what we have to look forward to. We are doing, like I said, we're doing American Horror Story as our interim. But if you have ideas for our next show, please feel free to let us know now. We can start looking it over. We'll do a poll once we get some shows together, see what everybody wants. I have some ideas of my own, but I do want to hear from everyone else to see if there's something that everyone else would like to see and hear. Um, in the meantime, we have our Sci-Fi Sunday coming up. And if you want to talk to us about any of these things, any of the Hannibal universe, any future episodes, Sci-Fi Sunday stuff, email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And you can follow me everywhere at ENKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for our Hannibal DNAs. Bye.
Bye.